But time of year as well. It's the season for e-biking. We mentioned online coaching just briefly, and I think it'd be cool to unpack all this and find the true story of Fit for Racing.
The
real story, man. Like this is for me like the interesting thing with having guests on and stuff is finding out more about you as a person and like where you know how you got into doing what you're doing and how you've created this really cool business with Fit for Racing. So let's go all the way back to the start. Just born. You come out of the womb. No.
Shit. What relationship with your parents?
Yeah, I think genuinely their disappointment of me drove me on to be an entrepreneur.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
Wow. We'll go in there.
Yeah. Is it a therapy session?
It can be.
I need a big sofa.
So where did it start though, man? Like what's your history of biking and fitness and everything? Like where did it all?
Well, it's
where's the
kind of like everything happened as like a natural progression. So I wasn't at school really into fitness. I wasn't like that sporty. I was ultra competitive.
In what sports?
Archery.
No way.
Yeah, random. I know.
Wow.
I was well into it.
Okay.
I shot for England one time, which was brilliant. But what I think is like, and I had 2 paper rounds, so I was on a bike all the time, and I was always riding out.
But you accurately delivered those papers, didn't you?
No, shit.
Throwing them through
like in America, yeah. So archery, I think, like honed my mind as you would imagine a golfer in a swing, where you're entirely. It's not really physical. There's like an element of it, but it's like the mental. You make it or break it on how you visualize it. And I think me alone with my mind in that scenario was perfect for me because I could kind of escape in it.
Okay.
But on the side, I was quite into rollerblading when it was cool. Yeah. That's 5-year window when it was actually cool. If there was a time.
There was. I was with you. Skate park, rollerblades back in the day.
I just couldn't. Yeah, you got opinions on that. So then, I was always into kind of extreme stuff. I fantasized about snowboarding, but never got the opportunity until I was older. But I wanted to experience loads of stuff, and I wouldn't call myself sporty. So I wasn't at school thinking I love the gym because I hadn't been in a gym for at that point. So I didn't then go to college because I wanted to be a PT or a sports coach. I actually genuinely loved competitive sport. And then I found the social side of riding a bit later on. So I always kind of rode my bike around the fells and whatnot.
Right.
But then there was a group of us early 20s when we would go. And that was kind of when I was developing as an adult and find myself on nights out with like-minded people that would rather go riding through the day, have a great time and follow on in the evening. And that's actually probably what hooked me to mountain biking was the social side of it.
Sick.
And so then developing my skills on the bike, it was something new to learn in that sense. We were traveling up to Glen Tress at weekends and trail centre stuff, and it was all cool.
What were you doing for work around this sort of time?
So around that time, I actually worked at Vet Labs, which is a bit random. So when Foot and Mouth was on, I was taken on as like a lab attendant.
Really?
Yeah, and then I stayed on. We used to do like post-mortems on animals that died and to basically find out how they died. Random. And that then took me to a job as a fingerprint expert in the police. So like a forensic scientist.
Whoa.
Which I know, random.
Tenuous link there.
Yeah, I know, but this kind of all comes together.
From foot and mouth to fingerprints.
Yeah, so that, like randomly, I think having an analytical mind of that, then doing some work in the gym, just because I was a young 20-year-old, I wanted to look a bit better, but finding that the work in the gym didn't help my riding in the summer. So I'd be out on my bike all summer, then I'd be in the gym basically undoing that and doing something else. And the transition was like 6 months here, 6 months there for a couple of years.
What were you training like back then? What were you training like bodybuilder basically?
Bodybuilder stuff, got bored of that. And then it was like powerlifter stuff because I wanted the competitive edge of being able to improve like tangible numbers. What's my deadlift at now? How can I improve that number instead of a non-quantifiable look at myself in the mirror, be disappointed and have anorexia for the rest of my life as a perma bulker, which I think I've only just got over like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, really.
So I don't look like a mountain biker because I'd done that time.
Yeah.
But then found the first, so I had done martial arts as a kid as well, or like teenager. And then I found that I did some like searching on YouTube when it started coming up with like Brock Lesnar with the MMA stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that shit will get me jacked and good on the bike. And so I started doing conditioning.
Okay.
So the strength base was already good.
Yeah.
Doing the conditioning side was good. And I found that did transition on the bike.
Can you break those two things down then? Just for me.
The strength side and the
Yeah.
conditioning side.
Yeah.
Basically strength in the sense that powerlifting is a sport of 3 lifts: squat, deadlift, and bench press.
Yeah.
And your score or your result is either individual or a combination of all of the numbers that you can do on one lift of each.
Mm-hmm.
Conditioning is a non-quantifiable preparation for a sport. So doing multiple reps of varied exercises with capacity, muscular endurance, explosiveness, and basically more of a functional fitness type thing,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which then directly affected my biking.
Right.
But during the search for that and getting into it, I kept seeing CrossFit in its infancy.
Okay.
And then
What
videos.
sort of time we're speaking about? Sorry to keep interrupting you, but
All right.
what are we thinking?
2004, maybe?
Early 2000, yeah, sweet.
4,
Okay.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so it was like super early days, but they had videos on. I was like, I quite fancy that workout, but there's like middle-aged women doing these kettlebell swings with 8 kilos and stuff. I'm not into that. I want something hardcore. But because it kept drawing me there, it's like, right, tell you what, I'll win CrossFit and then I'll move on. there was a workout, and what they used to do was post the workout of the day, and you put your times on. I was like, I'll do this workout, Helen. Loads of times on there to beat.
Yeah.
I'll win, and then I'll move on. And it was 400-meter run, 12 pull-ups, 24 kettlebell swings. And you do 3 rounds of that, and at each one I could do very well. But when I did 3 rounds, I absolutely ended myself.
Yeah.
And I was way down on the leaderboard, and these middle-aged women were beating me. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm totally hooked now until I win it.
And is this actually in a CrossFit gym?
No, this is in
all on, like,
the police
YouTube.
headquarters gym.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
So
okay.
people are like, what the fuck is Jonny doing? Running around. Like. So then I'm teaching myself the things to get better at a quantifiable strength and conditioning. So my passion for competition was then I was able to compare my performance to other people and have a drive and a path forward for that performance.
Yeah.
So then I realized shortly after that I was better at CrossFit than I was riding, and I was getting all of my kicks from CrossFit. And then I was trained, the gym wasn't good enough, so I bought my own equipment and went in the sports hall. And then other people would come with me, be like,
Right.
Jonny, what are you doing? It looks cool. I'd be like, oh, hop on this, it's insane. And before I knew it, we had like 20 people in the sports hall. I was like, give me £2 each and we can buy some more equipment. And so we have this really cool community of people that are really into it. All the PTs at the police, I was like, oh, come down, prepare for your fitness tests because you're all shit cops. And the PTs down there like, oh shit, man, writing letters of complaint to the chief, like this
Really?
guy, he's got this fad going on.
I was going to say, because it was looked at as like a fad thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's
Right.
never going to last. And I was like, nah, this is the future.
Yeah.
Until I put some holes in the sprung floor with like Olympic weightlifting and stuff. And I was like, it's time to move out. Then we got a unit, like £700 a month. Thought the people here pay a little bit more and we can just train there. So I have no intention of
You were
opening
still
a
in
business.
the police. Yeah, still in
Yeah,
the police.
still
Doing
in
it
the
like as a
police.
side thing.
Mornings, lunchtimes,
Yeah.
evenings. So the better I got at that, the worse I got at being a fingerprint expert, in all honesty, because my passion just went elsewhere. And I learned so much about strength and fitness, primarily for me and my enjoyment.
Yeah.
And the people around me enhanced that. And so having a gym and a platform there where I could build a community, basically to bring me up, as selfish as it sounds, but everyone was experiencing that same thing that I got from that riding community, where everyone's buzzing for someone's achievement,
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I wanted loads of people to beat, because we were a team then,
Yeah.
and we did team competitions. So we'd go away and we beat other teams, and that was good for us as a community.
Yeah.
So that kind of spiraled. We got more members. I dropped some time at work, and then Johnny Walker came with his manager,
Right.
and because he was Keswick, so Johnny Walker Red Bull Moto Enduro,
Mm-hmm.
he was really good at the time. And I actually said, I have no interest in being a PT. You can join classes if you like.
Who was taking the classes then? Were you doing them?
Me.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were, just to unpack this, so you were seeing the workouts online, or you were
No,
following those,
sorry. So I'd already qualified. So by that point,
because you could do a CrossFit course, couldn't you?
yeah,
and
but
become
I mean, to be honest, it's a weekend course.
a, is it?
So I use that as a gateway to be able to open a gym.
Right.
So at that point, or like a couple of years before then, I wouldn't have even classed myself as a coach. I was there facilitating for people to join in. But then when it got busier, then I took other qualifications on top of that.
Right.
And probably more importantly, more of like the seminar stuff. So looking at extreme versions of, say, weightlifting. So do a British weightlifting level 3, and then go to an actual Olympic weightlifting gold medalists seminar and see the difference, and then find what works. Because ultimately, there was like opinions of how you train for weightlifting, and like the e-bike, normal bike, actually these are polar opposites, but it's all the same thing. We're riding bikes, or we're doing a snatch and clean and jerk.
Yeah.
And the grey area in the middle is the 99% of people that need some degree of that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I found this.
How did
Go on.
CrossFit do that? Like, how did they take this idea of strength conditioning? I don't know what you call it. It's got a mixture of everything.
Yeah,
And
they
then
gamified
how
it.
did they turn that into a? Yeah, they turned it into a game. But how did they turn it into like a brand? How did they do that?
So the founder, Greg Glassman,
Yeah.
he was a trainer, and he trained someone with a lot of money. He said you should do something more with this.
Right. So he just took
And he
these
took
new
the
ways
idea,
of training and just sort of
and
developed
at the time, the internet back then was quite manipulatable.
Yeah.
So you could have the home page. So the idea with the comments on each one was traffic.
it.
And then when you affiliate, you put links on your website to the homepage. So it basically meant that everyone like me searching for training found CrossFit.
Yeah.
Then
Interesting.
it was accessible to open a gym because it was a weekend course. And back then you would have to do like a 2-year course to even consider opening a gym. Or
crazy,
buy
isn't it?
one with machines, let's say.
He
Yeah.
still makes money off every single person that says their gym is CrossFit, right?
Yeah,
There's
it's like an
some sort of, like-
affiliation you pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's
Crazy, isn't
mad to think, isn't
It's
it?
really,
Every
really
single
smart.
CrossFit
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
But that's part of the reason why. So when I started CrossFit, I loved it so much. But then it developed into a sport. So for me, it was strength and conditioning. I did enjoy the sport of it, but it was a little bit more randomized. So you could do a 10K trail run, and then you could do something that was like sandbag carries, or, you know, when you got to competitions, it was more diverse. But then the sport became Olympic weightlifting at a high degree, plus some other kind of Metcon, like particular types of movements that then actually narrowed it to a specialist sport.
Yeah.
I like the broadness of it, because I could say to any athlete like Johnny Walker, come in, do this, strength and conditioning, it'll help your sport.
Yeah.
So it was general. It became, if you wanted to do CrossFit as a sport, you would have to exclude quite a lot of the other things, and it probably will hurt you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so then I fell out of love because of that. And you got so many people that misunderstood the point of CrossFit.
Okay.
They wanted to do it as a sport, but didn't realize that it will hurt you eventually if you don't do it well.
If you want to see more, just click here, is it?
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
up
here?
there. Should be up
Look
there.
about there.
Yeah, about
And
there.
then there's other ones here.
Other ones there that you might like.
We're all looking after each other, and that's Christmassy, and that's the Ride Companion.